I first learned to step when I arrived on Howard University's campus through the pledge process of my fraternity. You know, stepping at this time was not something you could access in an after-school program. The only way to learn this art form was by joining a historically black fraternity or sorority. Realized quickly that this was an art form that had a lot of potential. Immediately upon graduating, I moved to Lesotho, Masero, Lesotho, a small country very close to Johannesburg, South Africa. And that's where I first came across the South African gum boot dance. The initial idea for Step Africa was to bring stepping and the South African gumboot dance together, to bring the two art forms together. We only thought it would happen in Johannesburg. We thought we wouldn't do anything else besides this really historic festival in Johannesburg, South Africa. But when we got back to the United States, it became clear that there was more work for us to do.
So I was the director at the time, and Brian had had some talks with the Phillips Collection, and they had the idea to do this work, honoring the work of Jacob Lawrence.
I mean, Jacob Lawrence, for me, is really one of America's great artists. I was shocked that they actually were so amenable to the concept, because I knew how important this work was, and that they were going to give us the opportunity with very little resistance. I was very excited about.
So he came to me, as he would many times, and we talked about it and talked about how we should approach it.
And we talked about how our work already resonated with these images that Jacob Lawrence had painted. And I was just excited by the chance to interpret his artwork, to really bring his paintings to life. At the heart of our work, of Step Africa's work, is cultural exchange. Even in shows like the show we created, The Migration, which is one of our most involved works, we still stay true to what Step Africa really is, which is how do we connect with an audience.
One of the most beautiful things about touring this work has been the connection that we've made with communities everywhere that we've gone. We get off stage and we get a chance to go out in the house and meet people, and they're so anxious to tell us about their family's story and their family's history, about how they migrated. And you hear people while you're performing, and they push you and they drive you just like any other performance. But I think what makes this one different is the connection that you're able to make once we get off the stage.
There's so many moments in the creation and the journey of Step Africa that have been impactful. One moment in particular that was incredibly special was helping to create the first Stepping Interactive in the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and getting to perform for President Barack Obama and the First Lady in the East Wing of the White House. I had always had a goal that we would one day perform in the White House, under those historic chandeliers, and hopefully not bring them down with our aggressive performance. The way the audience responded was quite wonderful, and it's a day I'll never forget.